Right. So today's topic is mostly effective weight loss, how to effectively lose weight. And I thought the best way, can everybody hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. Am I good? Okay. Um, I thought the best way to start this is to tell you my personal journey because people see me a lot now in my life and they think I've naturally always been one of those kind of slender people. And I can guarantee that I have not been. And it was that drive initially to be a healthy size that got me into nutrition in the first place. So I like to share that if I can. So I actually started my school journey to be an Italian teacher. I wanted to teach Italian. And simultaneously, I'm a singer when I'm not doing nutrition. And so my brother and I had a small record deal in Nashville. I was like I was 19 or 20. And while I was down there, when you're doing music, they make you kind of sign off on your looks. Like you're not going to gain weight, you're not going to lose weight, you're going to look a certain way, which is a lot of pressure for me because at that time I struggled. Like I can't tell you with my weight. So, I mean, I'm your typical like 100% Italian girl. My family made good food, but I was always a little, like, I wouldn't say I was quote unquote fat, but I certainly was more curvy and more full figured than your average girl. And I, for me, never felt comfortable in my own skin. So I would, I belonged to two different gyms. I would work out a minimum once a day. I counted every calorie. I was an expert at calorie counting, fat gram counting, restriction, dieting. This is what my mother had done. So that's what I knew. I never ever had equated food with health. It was always food with weight. So like, I would think pretzels have no fat, so they're okay to eat. It was never pretzels or have bleached white flour that could cause cancer. Like that connection never happened for me when I was younger. So I was down in Nashville working on my music and getting my school degree at the same time. And I went into a bookstore and I actually saw a book. It was called What Would Jesus Eat? It was a Christian bookstore. And it was about a kind of like ancestral, not even ancestral, like a very holistic diet. And I just saw it and thought, well, this is a diet that I haven't tried before. So let's see what this is all about. And so I literally read that book front to back cover in my hotel room that night because I was so taken with the concept of food and health. And it was my first introduction to anything holistic and to equating food and health. If you're interested, the book's written by Dr. Don Colbert. He has a whole bunch of books, but and that's actually was only a stepping stone. I don't even follow all of his protocol by any means anymore. But at that point, it was the first time I had learned about it. And from reading that one book, I never touched white flour and white sugar again, basically. Like I was so impacted by the things he said in that book. And it so much impacted me that I ended up like when I went home from Nashville, I started like buying stuff in my pantry. I started learning how to make my own food. Like, and my mom would make the pot of sauce and meatballs, and I'd make like my whole wheat sauce or whatever, my whole wheat pasta, like whatever I was learning at the time, I would just try those things. And I ended up changing my degree. I decided to become a holistic nutritionist instead of an Italian teacher. So I got my associates and I shifted gears and I got my master's and my bachelor's and my bachelor's. Oh my gosh, my master's and my bachelor's in nutrition after the fact. And in so doing that degree, this is kind of telling you how I ended up getting to the point where I'm at now. The school was really kind of cool. It introduced you to all different kinds of dietary therapies. And my focus was dietary therapy for disease. So I was more interested in learning how to like reverse illness, nutrition and alternative methods. And in doing that, I would have a whole course like on veganism or a whole course on fasting and things. It was like very in depth. And since this time, I'm still struggling with my weight and still never feeling totally comfortable in my own skin. I didn't love how my own skin looked. I always had sinus problems. I had chronic eczema and things like that. I was like, you know what? I'm a good test for this because, I don't, the typical dieting doesn't work for me. Calories in, calories out does not work for me. Otherwise I'd be a stick figure because of how much I worked out and the way I counted my calories. So let me try these therapies. So now I'm not by nature a picky eater. I like pretty much everything except for spicy food. So as I did each course in school, this is my bachelor's degree now, I decided to live in each kind of therapy for 3 months. So like whatever it was that I learned about, whether it was veganism, macrobiotics, gluten-free, whatever it is, I did it 100% without cheating for 3 full months. And that took me 2 full years. I did through all my entire second 2 years of my bachelor's degree. So I got a real taste, literally, of like the foods that were in that type of eating, like how to buy the kind of crackers for this diet, or the kind of pasta for this diet, or like, how to make these kind of things. And I also saw how the results affected my body. Now I know I'm a tough case. I never had a fast metabolism. Like I said, I always had a struggle with my weight when I was young, when most people don't. And what I learned at the end of that whole 2 years was that for the little bit of benefit that I would see with different diets, I didn't feel or look different enough to warrant like never eating lasagna again. It just didn't like do it for me. But the very last course I took was called enzymatic therapy, which was an introduction to a raw foods diet. So eating basically fruits and vegetables in their raw state. Now I'm thinking like, who eats like this? Like these are the people that like live in tree houses and don't shave into their arms. Like I'm not these guys. These are not my people. So, but I figured I'd try everything. I'll give it a shot for 1 month instead of 3. Let's see if I can do it for 1 month. And I waited till June. If I figured there'd be fruit, watermelon, whatever. And 3 weeks in to doing this, I literally felt and looked like a different person. And I mean, so substantially different that the results were just like overwhelming to me. That was like, and I had, for how many years had I struggled? I had struggled as long as I could remember knowing, probably since like the 4th or the 5th grade, I had struggled. And now at this point, I'm probably like 22, maybe ish. So it said, okay, I'm doing it for the full 3 months. What the heck? And that is now over. Oh my gosh, I'm 40 now. That was like 18 years ago. And I've basically eaten all raw for many years, diet ever since then. And now in more recent years, I'll eat some cooked things like potatoes and things like I tell you guys to eat in the products if you do the satiety method and stuff. So I've eaten a predominantly 98% raw, more or less diet for all these years. So now I don't tell you this to tell you to go raw. And my clients, I had clients for the last 20 years. I did not tell them to go raw either, but I really push raw nutrition for this reason, because I've seen firsthand with my clients and my family, the results from even having a higher raw lifestyle. And which is why I was so aligned with like Raw Generation in the first place, because they are all about raw nutrition. We don't pasteurize our juice. We don't high pressure process anything. It's fresh, raw, frozen, shipped to you guys. And so, and I don't know if you were here last month or the month before when I told how I became a part of Raw Generation, but the owners of the company, it's a father and a daughter, and the daughter I went to high school with. And she actually had called me back when I was just doing nutritional consulting and asked me if I could give her some advice. And the next day, her father called me, Bill, who's our CEO, and said, I want to learn more about your raw diet. Okay, so I went and met with him. And at the time, I had a meal prep business. I would make meals for my clients, raw and cooked, holistic, healthy meals for my clients locally in New Jersey. And he ordered my food. And in 2 months' time, being a raw diet, lost 60 pounds. And it was and in that time frame became a major believer in raw nutrition. And so this company literally started his garage. I came over one day and he said, "What do you think about juicing?" Like, "I think juicing is great for you." He's like, "No, like, do you think I can make a business out of juicing?" And you could, like, you want to have a juice bar? No, I want to make juice and I want to ship it to people who need juice. I wish someone could ship it to me, and there's no one that does that. At the time, there was no juice company that did it. We were the first ones. So, and I remember clear as day, and the man that was helping him still works for our company now, like almost 20 years later, I guess it's 15 years later. I walked into the garage and he was starting to juice and make recipes. And I helped him make the very first sweet greens recipe that we had. And so I've been friends and working with them for years, and I've contracted time with them over the years. And I've been full-time here now for 2 years with them as the nutritionist and product developer and the copywriter. So anyway, that's my kind of long story, but I think it's kind of pertinent because it gives you an idea of the knowledge I should say the experience that I have with nutrition specifically and my own personal struggle, because from someone who literally tried everything and could not lose weight, I now develop products that I know help people lose weight because I did it with my clients for years successfully to help them lose weight. And that includes perimenopausal and menopausal women, includes postpartum. It includes, just anyone who autoimmune people that sometimes struggle with the weight, because of steroids and things like that. So that's my story. So before I go into other points I was going to make, does anybody want to ask me anything about all that? Because I'm going to just take it in segments if there is. Now's your time to raise a hand or ask. No? Okay. You can also send it as direct messages in the thing too, if you'd rather do that. If you don't want to talk, also fine. Okay, so how to effectively lose weight. So, even in learning to lose weight, even in eating raw, try all the things, there's a definite method to madness when it comes to successful weight loss that's actually sustainable. And sustainable is the key, because you can lose weight doing anything. You can lose weight doing keto. You can lose weight doing, Atkins. You can lose weight doing whatever you want to do. But most of those, actually, I have to say all of them that I know of, are not sustainable for the long term because they're too restrictive. You can't, you're not meant to restrict certain macros or calories. We are not meant to be, we're not generally restrictive people. Think about like humans in general. Like we like things that we like in excess. That's just how we are. And you should be able to eat abundantly and still feel good. And that's why this method of eating and the way I'm going to speak to you about today worked for me, because it, for example, prior to finding healthy eating, I would love to binge eat things. I would go through a whole box of granola in a sitting, or a whole bag of Fritos or something. I thought nothing of it. I just like to be able to chew and chew and eat, and I could do it all the time. But so when I swapped those fears out for grapes, didn't limit my portion. Maybe I'd have 2 whole bags of grapes in a sitting. Like I just didn't limit it at all. I had anything I wanted, any time of the day, any portion that I wanted, as long as it was raw, and I didn't limit it. And I dropped weight like that. I'm telling you, I went from a size struggling to maintain a size 8. It was a struggle to maintain a size 8 to an easy size 2 in less than 3 months. And I've never, ever shifted again since that point. If anything, I've had to work on keeping my weight on sometimes because I get stressed and I don't eat enough. So, it was seamless. I'll never forget the first day I walked into, I think I was in Banana Republic or shopping with my brother in the outlets. And I always would hope to be in a size 6. And I ended up, the 6 was big on me. And I got my first size 4 pair of pants. And I was like, wow, that was such a good feeling. And it's not about your size. It's not about the pounds. I mean, I haven't weighed myself in 20 years. It's not about how many pounds you weigh. It's about how you feel good in your own body. And like, if you see my frame, like my frame is not a big frame. I'm not meant to be larger. Some people are in their happy size at a size 8 or a size 6, and that's where they're meant to be. And your body, that's the cool thing about this. When you eat holistically and naturally, your body naturally stops where it's supposed to stop. It won't take you too low or keep you too high. If you eat properly and you eat the right foods in the right amounts, or I should say the right order of the day, your body will keep losing weight and keep losing weight at a consistent but healthy pace, and it will just stop when you hit your healthy weight. And I've seen that across the board with my clients for now 20 years. It might be slower for some than others, depending if you're in a spot of your life where you have hormonal fluctuations, whether that's, I said postpartum, menopausal, perimenopausal, it might be a lot slower. Like, you might not lose 5 pounds in a week. You might lose 2 pounds in a week. You might lose 1 pound in a week, but you're going to still move in a positive direction if you're consistent. So how to conquer cravings. That's one of the number one questions that I get. And that's why I actually developed some of the products that I've developed since I've been here, the Green Routine and the Craving Crusher, because the number one way to combat cravings is with dark leafy greens in juiced or blended form. So now when I had my business with my clients, I was not making juices or smoothies. I taught my clients rather, how to make green smoothies at home. And green smoothies are easy. You can make them in a blender. You don't have the problem of cleaning up a juicer or any of that kind of stuff. And you're still getting a lot of greens every day. The chlorophyll in those greens literally like eliminate cravings over time. So just to give you an idea, like if you are craving sweet things, if you have a sweet tooth, that means you haven't had enough fruit in your day. That's actually what your body's telling you, but we don't know that if we grab an Oreo instead of an apple. If you are craving salty things, it means you haven't had enough greens in your day. But instead of grabbing celery, we grab Doritos or something salty to get that craving. So when you start your day with chlorophyll and you do it consistently over time, what actually ends up happening is the hydrochloric acid balance. The hydrochloric acid is what is in your stomach, in your gut. Most of us have little or none at this point in our lives because, lots of things affect it. It could be pollutants, it could be bad food, it could be poor sleep, it could be stress. It negatively affects your hydrochloric acid. If you ever heard like HCl tabs, it's like a typical thing. The greens over time restore the hydrochloric acid balance in your stomach. So what that means is you actually can uptake nutrients properly from food. So instead of like what you would normally eat and then have cravings right after, is because you're not getting properly nourished. The nutrients are not doing what they're supposed to do in your body because you're not able to uptake and use them properly. But when you have the greens consistently, that changes. The chemistry in your body changes over time. It takes a little while. It takes like a consistent habit of doing it for a few months. The greens actually balance your gut. They help the hydrochloric acid balance to come back up to a normal level. And then you can properly uptake nutrients. And so then you're actually getting nourished from the food that you are eating. So like those of you who have done or are trying the signature reset, that's one of the reasons why I made the program a 90-day program. One was to make it a healthy habit that would be sustainable, but the other was to actually give your stomach acid a chance to balance, which is why if you look at those test group results on the signature reset page, those are legitimate results people had. Like their hair got thicker again, their nails got better, their skin cleared up, and those are 100% the result of your hydrochloric acid balance being normalized with the chlorophyll in the greens. And that's why that fixes that. That was a lot of information. Did that make any questions, or do you want me to keep going? I can't see anyone's faces. I can see like 2 people's faces. I can't tell if you're actually taking it in or not. But I know I talk fast, so if you're missing anything, some green juice, very nice. I like
Lisa, do you think you can do that with one green juice in the morning, or do you need to have more than one green juice for the cravings?
I do think one a day is good for most people, and you'll notice. I mean, if you don't notice it making a substantial difference in your cravings, then you'll know you might need more for like a time, and you could lessen it over time. So you might need to do like 2 for the span of 1 to 3 months, which is why I have you guys doing 2 for this initial reset 3 months. Then you can probably continue with 1 after that, and serve the same purpose as long as it's like a nice and potent amount of greens. So if I make a smoothie at home, I put 2 or 3 big handfuls of greens in it. It's like 60-40, fruit to greens. The juices obviously are the most concentrated form of chlorophyll you can get, because you can't get anything close to that. Like you probably get like a pound of kale in a bottle of juice or whatever. I don't know if it's a pound, but it's a lot. You know what I mean? Um, does that make sense?
Lisa,
Yes.
you
Thank you.
probably already addressed this. I don't know. I'm just logging in now.
Mhm.
But if you do the signature reset, is that really possible to do for 3 months? To just drink juice, and do you have like one-on-one support if you do the
Oh, you're not
signature
just
reset?
drinking juice. You're not just drinking juice at all. You do a 5-day cleanse to start, but then you're eating in a complete normal diet. The signature reset is a very advanced program. So it comes with a 12 video e-course that I teach. They recorded me teaching it, and it teaches you how to eat clean, how to clear your pantry, how to meal prep, how to read labels, how to properly structure your days. The food steed that comes with 55 recipes that I created and I use them myself. I wrote 11 guides for it. I basically took my guides that I used to give my clients in their folders, and I converted them for raw generation customers. So that includes like an eating out guide and adjustments for perimenopause and postpartum guide. It includes like a how to get more protein, all kinds of different healthy swaps, all kinds of stuff. So it's a completely comprehensive program. So you're definitely eating. The only time you're not eating solid food is when you're cleansing, which is the very beginning. And even then you can have fruits and vegetables and stuff. But the rest of the time, when you're doing the 90 days, you're having a green juice in the morning, you're having breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, everything that you normally have. You're just incorporating the greens and healthier eating habits within that. So, and as
And
far as one-on-one support, there's no longer live weekly one-on-one calls with me, because we're not well attended at the time, but there is, you can email me, and I check emails every day, and I respond directly myself to any signature reset emails. And also I will schedule one-on-one calls with you if you feel you need the extra help. Yes. Okay. I have questions from Mel, and someone else raised a hand. I missed it, but go ahead and ask if you raised it. Oh, you're muted, Mel.
There we go. I
Hello.
do that all the time at work. Okay, question. Is it healthy to just juice? So I had diverticulitis 2 months ago, and I have been struggling eating. Like these have saved my life. And really just trying to find the right foods. And anytime I eat, I feel just my stomach is just awful. But I do great on the juices. So
Okay.
like, how realistic and healthy is that? Or
It's
I need to find
very healthy. I mean, it is one of the healthiest things you could do. So if you came to me as a client, now I can't give any kind of medical or real advice like that here, but if you came to me as a client, as a diverticulitis client, the first thing I would have you do would be a cleanse with juices and smoothies, and I would have you do it until you felt well. And I would have you doing a lot of it. So you would be needing, like, I wouldn't tell you to live on 6 juices a day. You would need to be probably 12, twice that much. Or making, do you have a good blender? I would recommend blending some of your food, like blending smoothies. So to get extra bulk. So I would say, have your 4 or 5 juices a day, or however many, I don't know how many you have right now to sustain yourself, but have your juices, each day. And I would say, like, I use a Vitamix blender. I 100% swear by those. They're expensive, but they're the best investment I have ever made. And I would stand by till the day I die, because I've had the same one now for all 20 years and has been through the mill. And I now own 3 of them, because I have one for work. I have one for home. I have one for my seminars. I love them. But anyway, I recommend making the full blender size. So that's like a 64-ounce canister. Even if you made like 32 ounces of green smoothie, or even just a regular smoothie, just fruit is so nourishing for your gut, which is what it needs right now. And you need to have very ripe, soft fruit. It's never anything unripe. So like your bananas need to be fully brown spotted, not like mushy, but they need to have brown speckles on them, because that's when they convert to a sugar from a starch. So anything under that, a banana that's unripe is like a piece of bread in your digestive system. So to constipate you and hurt your stomach. So, and that goes with all fruits should smell sweet. They should be a little soft, and you have to be more conscious of that because of your sister situation. I would also tell you to be conscious to things you could probably have would be like soft steamed, like squashes, steamed well vegetables, like potatoes should probably be would be, maybe not with the skin, but like sweet potatoes or white potatoes, even without. You might do well with avocado. Sometimes people can and can't with the fat. Yeah. So I would say, like, and a great book I would recommend you get is called Self-Healing. It's called Colitis and Crohn's. I know you don't have that. Self-Healing Colitis and Crohn's by David Klein, Klein. That protocol will work great for what you have as well. I use that with all my clients with IBS or any kind of digestive problems, and it works wonders. It's an easy read. You can get like an Amazon.
Wonderful. Thank you. What was the name of that blender again?
A Vitamix.
Vitamix.
And you can also find them like refurbished on Amazon for like $200 instead of $5, which is what you're going to see on the website. And the refurbished ones are awesome. They're like just as good as new. So don't spend a fortune on a new one.
Yeah.
If you decide to get one. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I just saw a question. Stacy, would strawberry greens drink count as a green drink? Absolutely. That's actually one of our greenest drinks, believe it or not. That's our highest protein green drink because it's in the protein in those drinks come from the level of greens in them. So yeah, that's actually my favorite green juice. You know, when I made that flavor, I wanted it to smell like strawberries when people opened it. I wanted to have the aroma of strawberries. And so I told the production team, like our facility in the town where we make the juices, if it doesn't smell like strawberries, I'm gonna go out the door because I wanted to smell like that. So I hope you get that experience and you enjoy it. I know you're not a doctor, but do you think these juices would help someone suffering from arthritis and inflammation? 1000%. And the reason for that is because everything raw is anti-inflammatory, meaning if you're having fresh, raw fruits and vegetables, you can go in here. I'm on a meeting. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, people coming into my office all day long. I'm just with all the customers over here. Even foods that you would think would be inflammatory, like maybe like a lemon or something, they're actually anti-inflammatory when they're in their raw, ripe state. So the more you can flood your body with raw, ripe produce, whether it's whole fruits, juiced fruits, or blended, the better off you're going to be, including the greens. I mean, the most anti-inflammatory food is probably dark leafy greens and cherries. Cherries are super anti-inflammatory. So thank you, Miguel. Absolutely 100%. The juices will help with inflammation for sure. Yep. All right. Now, did I miss anything, or does anybody else want to ask more questions? That one. Okay. Is there a food delivery service that is compatible with your program? I'm currently getting food delivered from Fresh and Lean Mediterranean Diet. I do not know that company. And that's a great question. I wish I knew of a food delivery system. When I had a food delivery system myself, and when I left my business to start working here, I could not find something of comparable quality for my clients to. I did quite a bit of digging to try to find one. That's 2 years ago. There could be something now that I don't know about. I don't know of one. I'm sorry to say I don't know of one. But depending on your time, there are some very, very simple recipes. Like, for example, in the Stay Skinny method, there's some soup recipes. Let's use those, for example. And you could make, a huge batch of that and freeze it and take it out. It takes literally 20 minutes to make it, maybe 30 minutes. And most of that's just letting it simmer. You just kind of throw the stuff in the pot. And you pull one of those out like 3 times a week. And that's it's easy. And you know exactly what goes into it. You're not sacrificing the quality of the oil used to prepare it or anything else. So that's not really an answer to your question per se, but I don't really know of someone to recommend or a company to recommend. Is eating cooked vegetables bad? No. It's not bad to eat cooked vegetables. It's just superior to eat them raw. And there's different ways to cook vegetables that make them healthier for you. So if you've done the Signature Reset or the Stay Skinny method, then you already know my take on cooking in fat and oil. So I am not opposed to healthy fats and oils by any means, but I'm very opposed to cooking in them for weight loss and for health's sake. So if you roast vegetables, I recommend doing it on parchment paper, unbleached parchment paper, dry roasting. You can certainly coat them in whatever spices you like, so, even healthy salt, whatever, and roast them. They taste delicious. You don't even need the oil. You won't miss it. Steaming is fine. If you have an air fryer and you want to air fry, I don't have an experience with an air fryer personally. I've heard that it's wonderful. I've heard some mixed reviews about the health value of it, so do your own research there. Or boiling is fine for vegetables. The only thing I wouldn't recommend doing is saute. And if you want to saute them, water saute them. So they will not come out exactly the same as olive oil saute. Now I'm Italian, so garlic and oil with everything I make sauteed most of my life. But since I don't anymore, obviously, when you water saute, it becomes a little bit of a different consistency, but you can still do it. And then if you want to add olive oil, Just add it after the fact, after it's cooked. So just get that texture, that taste, but not ever heating it. Hopefully you at least like raw fruits. So if you're getting, even if you're getting like, I would tell my clients to do a high raw lifestyle. So how I would recommend that back in the back when I did that was I would say have a green smoothie, a large one for breakfast. Do not eat before you're hungry. Eat when you feel hungry and have your big smoothie. And that would usually take you to lunchtime if you make it big enough. So like my smoothies, I'd recommend to put like 3 or 4 frozen bananas in one smoothie with a couple oranges and with probably like a small bag of frozen berries or something and all the greens. And that whole big smoothie, I would have every day. And I tell my clients that every day. So it's definitely a full meal replacement, and really healthy, good for your digestion, fiber, all the nutrients. It's like instant cell food because it's already broken down. All the cell walls and the plants are broken down. So it goes like right to your system to be used and utilized, especially if you have compromised digestion which most people who have a hard time losing weight have compromised digestion in the first place. They're either bloated, they have gas, they have stomach pains, they even not being able to drop weight easily is usually a function of compromised digestion. So smoothies are a great way to start doing that. And these smoothies I would recommend in the morning, not putting any kind of yogurt, nut milk, or fat in them, just fruit, greens, and water. Dates or honey if you want to sweeten them. The smoothies from our company, the nut milk based smoothies, are great also, but they're not good to have in the morning. They're good to have later in the day because they have a fat source. They have the raw cashew nut milk in them, which is fine. But you want to have, I think if you've been here before, you know that my whole thing is eating light to heavy in the day. So starting with light foods, not light portions, light foods. So light being low fat or fat free. So fruits, fat, and water rich fats. Fruits, vegetables. Light foods would also be considered light potatoes or steamed vegetables, that kind of thing. And then later in the day, like post lunch, dinner time, having your fat sources, whether that's avocado, olive oil, nuts blended up, chicken, eggs, whatever, that kind of stuff. Well, lots of questions. Let me see what I missed. What are your thoughts on MCT oil, specifically from coconut? I've researched it, but not sure I understand what I'm reading. And can you drink the raw generation drinks after 24 hours? Okay, 2 separate questions. Simple one. We recommend after they've been thawed for 24 hours that you do not drink them. So reality of it is you probably can, but we can't safely say that. And we don't know how you treat them in the process. So after 24 hours of being thawed, you should chuck them. MCT oil, I have to say, I am not, you're welcome, Calvin. I'm not a supplement person by nature. So I don't typically believe in supplementing my food. I believe in it if people need to because they can't physically eat or will not eat the proper way to get all the nutrients that they need. So I don't know your reason for wanting MCT oils. I would believe in having the full coconut water, coconut milk, straight coconut milk. I do not believe in taking a piece of the coconut out and having that fractionated nutrient by itself, because what I found over the years is that MCT oil might be like the hero thing they talk about this year, and then 3 years from now, oh, well, now we know that you really needed this nutrient to properly process the MCT oil. So you really weren't getting your bang for your buck all those years. So now you need to also add this, whatever it is, magnesium or something on top of it. And that's kind of like been what I've seen always in the supplement world. So I'm extremely cautious with anything supplement. Also, when you're doing something in pill form, for example, there is 0 FDA regulation in supplements in this country. So you don't even know if you're getting what you pay for. I hesitate to use them. As far as from, like, you need to be checking the quality, knowing where it comes from. I would definitely get a high potent if you can get a raw source of it, if you're going to use it. I think you answered here. Alzheimer's runs in a very strong way, just focusing on brain health. That's wise. I definitely believe in coconut oil for brain health. I've actually even used that with my pop had Alzheimer's. So like extra virgin coconut oil, take it by the spoonful once a day. Like do it later in the day. Don't have your fat in the morning. Do it later in the day. I have seen and read many, many studies of that benefiting people, and I am a believer. My sister and his oatmeal and stuff like that, because he wouldn't take it on the spoon. So as far as that goes, like within the confines of the whole food, more or less, yes. Separated out of it, not necessarily a no if you know the quality is a good one. If you know the source and you can trust the quality, then the benefits are real benefits that the people claim. I believe the claims. I just don't believe that the quality is usually what the claims don't usually warrant the claims, if that makes sense, with supplements in general. going out of town for 4 days. How can I get my order held up? You just call customer service, Calvin, and they will, depending on what your order is, unless it's a signature reset, because that we can't pause shipments with. There's a whole issue with that on the back end where we can't. But if as long as it's not the signature reset, they will pause any shipment for you. They just call them. They'll pick up if you probably call them right now, and they can take care of that for you. Is the RG juice equivalent to eating the actual fruit or veggie? No. I don't feel in general that ever there's never anything as great as the whole fruit or vegetable. But I kind of take that with a grain of salt because most people, I'd say 98% of people that I know can't eat the proper volume of fruits and vegetables to get the benefit that they need to be getting or could be getting. So for example, it is very normal for me with how I've eaten for years to sit down and have 8 or 12 oranges for lunch. I think nothing of it. I eat them. It's my lunch and I go about my day. Most people that I know are not going to sit and do that. But if you juice a glass of orange juice, you're going to get a nice 6 or 7 oranges juice in there and you're going to get awesome vitamin C and all the things. So I think juicing is phenomenal for the average person that is not going to eat a large quantity of fruits and vegetables. It's also great therapeutically. So if you're trying to boost your immunity, if you have a something you want to try to take care of your gut health, brain health, like we were talking about, whatever. Juices are great because it's concentrated nutrition, so you can get a lot more, to say again, bang for your buck in a bottle than you can in like one apple. So I love juicing. I drink juice regularly, but I don't necessarily know that one's better or worse than the other. I think there's two different kind of functions of the same thing. But whenever I can, I prefer the whole fruit because I like the vibe. I like the whole package of the way, the way God made them. That's how I view life. So, that's how I feel. What else did I miss? Oh, so you're awesome. Thank you for your time. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Can you talk about all the mushroom products out there, the coffees, drinks, pills, and mushrooms are all the rage right now, right? They asked me about that recently. Can we do mushroom products? I'm like, not so much a mushroom thing. And adaptogenic mushrooms and stuff, there's a lot of cool studies about them. I'm just diving into some of it myself. I think it's common. I mean, it's similar to what I said before. Like any other supplement, and I do think of them as a supplement because people are not eating straight mushrooms. They're eating powdered form of the mushrooms supplementally, or things are extracted lots of times depending on the product. If the quality is good, then you can probably benefit from or you can experience the benefits. If the quality is poor, if you're buying your mushroom product on like a ShopRite shelf, it's most likely junky. I'm just going to be honest. If you can make something shelf stable that normally would not be, if a food is meant to be fresh and all of a sudden it becomes shelf stable, I would question that. That's not how nature intended, which is why our juices only last 24 hours when they're thawed, which is why we flash freeze instantly after we press to keep it as fresh as possible. Like other companies or even like the store companies, you can sit on a shelf with an apple juice for months, or you can even the cold pressed juices, the HPP, which is a high pressure system that the companies use, so they can say they're cold pressed, but they're actually high pressure on the juices bottles. That's how you see, like when you go to Whole Foods and you see like the section of all the cold pressed juices, they last there for 2 or 3 weeks. That's not fresh anymore, nor does it taste the same as juice fresh off of the line. Not the same thing. So, as for the mushrooms and the pills, I, again, don't buy into pills in general. I'm kind of anti-pill in most cases, except for like, whole food supplemental in situations for people that need nutritional support. The coffees and the teas and things. If you want the benefits that those mushrooms give you, I first would try to source a natural, like actual mushroom source. That's what I would personally try to do. I don't know if they exist. I haven't looked into it because I'm not a mushroom eater by nature, but I mean, if you want to, that's what I would do first. Secondly, if that's not an option for you, I would try to find as raw and clean as possible source of those things. And you probably will have to go to some like niche little health food store to find a higher quality than you're going to find like in a mega store. Any supplement, I mean, ideally you find an herbalist. You look up a local herbalist in your area that makes their own. That's the best way to do it. If I needed like herbs or something, that's what I would personally do. What else did I miss? Let's see. Got that. Do I do one-on-one coaching calls? Yes, I do. If you want that, you can email me, lisatesta@rawgeneration.com, and we could talk about that for sure. Lisa, Testa. How much is the signature reset program? We lowered that. I should, top of my head, I think it's $9.99 right now. I know that even at the full price that we used to charge, yes, it's $9.99. It's $11 a day, basically what you're committing to do that program. And which is, it's not a small commitment. However, it's 3 months of products. So if you're familiar with our juices and our products before, you know how well. I mean, the price of that program doesn't it like it doesn't even cover the normal cost of those bottles, much less all the other stuff that we're sending you, which is, the support, the videos, the guides, the recipes, the whole everything that comes directly from me to you. So that's where the price of that comes into play. It is available also with an afterpay program if that's something that helps you. And it does occasionally go on sale. How much do you do? Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. What else? Do we have any more questions before I go into anything else on my list here? Oh, if you guys want to hang around a little bit longer, I'll stick around longer since I started late. I can stick around an extra 15 minutes if you guys want. If there's questions or conversation to be had. Best way to eliminate bloating. Now, has anyone been here before and knows the answer to this question? Because now I'm going to go into my teacher mode. Anybody know? Kim, I feel like you know. Yeah, maybe she's gone.
Pineapple juice?
It helps. Right, Naomi got it. Light to heavy. I feel like I have like people that are getting to know me here. I love this. This is so much fun. If fats at dinner, light to heavy. Yes, and bloating is a struggle for me. Okay, so bloating is a struggle for many people. Now, Mel, you have a slightly different situation because of your diverticulitis. However, get the book I recommended and/or talk to me because that bloating will get better as your gut heals, and there's a way to do that with food. But the key to eliminate bloating is knowing how to properly combine your foods and how to structure your day of eating. It's really as simple as that. People make it so complicated and it just isn't. I will tell you, back prior to eating how I eat now, when I was struggling, I literally had 2 sizes of pants that I took on every vacation, everywhere, because I never knew how bloated I would be from one day to the next when I wake up in the morning. And sometimes I looked pregnant. I was so bloated, like legitimately had like a pouch, and I couldn't wear my normal size pair of jeans. So that's how much I struggle with bloating. In reality, I probably had some like basic IBS and didn't know any better at the time. But once I learned how to properly combine foods, it never happened again. And I know I can always tell when it's going to happen because, like you say, I'm like out to lunch, and I normally don't eat anything heavy at lunch. I normally eat, like I said, fruit or something. If I'm out to lunch with friends and I end up having like something heavier that I wouldn't normally have, I can almost guarantee that the next day I'll be a little bloated and it'll work its way out of my system in a day. It's because my body knows how to work properly. And the problem is a lot of the typical combinations that you've heard in fitness and health circles are the exact opposite of what you should have for bloating and weight loss. There's nothing unhealthy about them. Like, for example, apple and peanut butter. How many times have you heard say, oh, have your apple and your peanut butter, have the protein and the sugar, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's great for the sake of, preventing cancer or heart disease. It's awful for trying to lose weight and not be bloated. It's the complete opposite of what you should have. You never, ever mix fruit and fat together. So let the trail mixes have the fruit and the nuts together, which is one of the reasons why we discontinued ours, because I didn't like the whole plan in the beginning when I came here. There are some exceptions, and there's certain kinds of fruits that can blend with certain kinds of fats without an issue. And like, that's a deeper discussion that we could certainly have. If you want to dedicate a whole call to it at some point, I'm happy to give you guys the ins and outs that I know in my head. But the very basic baseline, just if you want to keep your fruits and your fats separate, and you'll be in great shape. And keep your fat to 1 meal a day if you can. So I always try to limit my fat to my dinner meal. I don't restrict how much I have. So my typical dinner might be this huge salad that's literally probably your serving size bowl or bigger of salad. And I'll put 2 whole avocados, big ones, like from like the Spanish bodega by my house, in there. I'll put extra virgin olive oil on it. Sometimes I'll sprinkle sesame seeds on it. Sometimes I'll put tahini dressing on top. I don't know. I don't limit it at all. It's always raw fat, and it's always at dinner time. And sometimes my dinner is so late at night. Sometimes I don't get around to eating it. Like last night, I had dinner at 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, don't shoot me. I was working very late last night. Whereas you've heard different people tell you can't eat late at night if you want to lose weight, it's actually not true, because I still wake up with a flat stomach in the morning when I eat properly all day long, and I eat the right foods at night. So I don't actually buy into the fact of having to not eat late at night. I have disproven that myself over the years with my own body. But it did make a difference when I wasn't eating properly. It definitely did make a difference. So, it's all balanced. Like, if you don't really want to eat properly, then you have to follow more rules to have the same results. If you don't want to, like, I don't like to follow rules. I hate being boxed in. So I like just knowing that I can eat whatever I want whenever I want, and that's it. And so as long as I eat the right foods, that to me is completely food freedom. So that's why this works for me. Let's see. Thank you so much for this. Eating light to heavy works. Yes, it does. What do you eat for breakfast and lunch? Looking for more options than fruit oatmeal for breakfast. To be honest, I don't have other options. That's what I always have for breakfast. I always have fruit. I actually always have fruit juice or smoothies for breakfast. Smoothie bowl, that's an option. You could, I should say this. I don't choose to do this because I don't like having anything heavy in the morning. It makes me feel like tired and sluggish and weighted down for my day. But if you wanted to have something like steamed vegetables in the morning, sweet potato, white potato, even like rice and stuff, you could have those things in the morning. If you're more of a savory, kind of want something hotter in the morning, you could do that if you wanted. A trick I found with oatmeal that I like is I like sometimes crave salty things. I have extremely low blood pressure and I have for years and years. So sometimes I crave salt. And not the kind of salt that's fixed with greens, because believe me, I'm like greens to the max. I just need to raise my blood pressure sometimes. Anyway, so I'll have oatmeal and I sprinkle Redmond's real salt on it and make it like a savory oatmeal. And let me tell you, delicious. Don't knock it till you tried it. It's really good. It's like grits. If you have like grits, it kind of like reminds me of that. Yeah, I don't really recommend doing too much other than that for breakfast because the point of breakfast is to break the fast. So you want to do that with water rich, really light, easy to digest foods, and those are always fruits. They win every time. So fruits are 100% your best bet for breakfast. I will tell you to get out of the mindset, if you're in the mindset of having to have breakfast, if it's certainly not the most important meal of the day, nor is it necessary if you're not hungry for it. So wait till you feel actual hunger and eat when you're hungry. That's just a little side note. People get really hung up about having a big breakfast, and it's just not the case. Same question as Lori also, but what does a meal look like for you? Okay, more lunch, dinner. All right. Well, I'll tell you, like, I am not the best at following what I preach all the time because my schedule is bananas. I always eat the right foods, but I don't always eat, like, if I was eating a more structured day, when I'm on a better routine, I'll talk to you about when I'm on a better routine because I think most of you probably, although I'm sure you have very busy lives, it's probably not quite as crazy as mine. Sometimes I literally will work in the middle of the night to get stuff done. But so, lunch before this call, I got those sumo oranges, which if you haven't had those, they are so good. And they're pretty cheap at Trader Joe's compared to other places. I peeled 2 just now to have before this call, but had I been home or had I had more time, I would have peeled probably 6 or 7 of them and eaten them all and been content with that for like a lunch. My dinner is always like a big, I like variety, but I look forward to my food every night. So I make things that I look forward to having. I also know how to eat in different restaurants. So if I don't have one of my big salads, which is what I have 90% of the time because I look forward to it and I enjoy it, I make them different, all different kinds of dressings and stuff. I will do sushi a lot. Not raw fish sushi, but I love getting like avocado rolls, avocado cucumber rolls, avocado mango rolls, and I'll have those. I don't use soy sauce. I put lemon on them instead because I'm allergic to soy. And I can eat sushi more than anybody I know. I can eat anyone on their table in sushi. So that's like a typical dinner if I'm not cooking. If I want to just pick up something fast or eat out, I eat that out a lot. I do a lot of potatoes at nighttime. Sometimes I'll make like, if you're a Signature Reset customer, I'll make the avocado, what's it called? With avocado and potato like meal there. I don't know what I called it in there. I don't know. I'm pretty boring. Sometimes I'll make some quinoa, but that with my salad. I don't eat much cooked food. So like once in a blue moon, I might have like some like corn or some like roasted cauliflower like with my food. But I pretty much just do salads, avocados, lots of avocados and potatoes. Kind of boring. But I do have lots of other ideas in the recipes. Like I have plenty of recipe ideas for my clients, and I share those in my Signature Reset recipes and my Stay Skinny Method recipes. Someone else you can look at, I love Caroline Diesler, Diesler. Her recipes are spot on. And she has a bunch of different reset books that are very inexpensive. She also has a cookbook now, a hardcover cookbook that you can get. So I love her. Her recipes would be great for you probably. Do I encourage intermittent fasting? Done well, yes. Fasting is actually really therapeutically good for you. I have done all kinds of fasting in my life, some for spiritual reasons, some for just nutritional reasons, some for weight loss reasons back in the day. I don't see any negative impact from fasting as long as you are mentally prepared and as long as you do it properly. So with intermittent fasting, if you don't feel like you're being restricted in it, then I think it's healthy for you. If you feel like it's a struggle, then I don't recommend it because you're always going to eventually rebel and not stick to it. So I don't know if that helps you or not. But that's my general principle with how I kind of decide what I do in general with life, especially with eating. I don't feel like it's ever a good idea to restrict yourself in a way that you don't like. If there's any kind of resistance in you to do it, like you should look forward to your meals. You should look forward to your food. And if you don't, then you just will not stick with something. It'll end up being a failed attempt. But as far as intermittent fasting, I don't know what your purpose would be, if it would be weight loss or health. A ton of benefit for health. If you have chronic disease, autoimmune, that kind of stuff, there's a ton of studies about that. So if you want to clarify why you're asking that, I'm happy to give you more insight, but that's my take. I make oatmeal with pink salt, and then I add a little bit of honey on every other bite. See, sweet, it's delicious. I do the same thing. I put like honey on half the bowl, and half I have salty and half I have mixed. Delicious. Naomi, you got a good stuff going on there. I'm craving really good ice cream lately. What are some safe brands? I don't recommend dairy. So that's number one. I don't think dairy is ever a good food to have really for anyone. I've never seen a case. I don't necessarily think that butter or eggs falls into that category. I think they should be separate. When I say dairy, I mean like cream and milk. I mean, I would say yes to having it if you were doing like a raw milk cream or a raw milk dairy. But that's, as you know, depending on the state. Sometimes you can't get that. Sometimes there's all kinds of questions of circulating around it. If you're having a pasteurized dairy product, let me say this. I believe in levels of goodness, right? So if you have your coffee and you like to have cream in it, if you switch to an organic grass-fed cream, I would give you my blessing for that. If you want to switch to a plant milk and it's like an almond milk with all the junk in it, I would not give you my blessing for that. So that is not better than an organic heavy cream. Does that help? Dairy is more so a problem for people with chronic illness, with congestion, with brain fog, that are in menopausal or hormonal shifting years. It's a case-by-case situation. As far as ice cream brands, I don't know of any that I would feel great about. However, I make it my own. I make my own like on a daily basis, and I make it for my nephews and my nephew nieces like on all the time. They love it. I have recipes for it in the two programs I keep mentioning, the Signature Reset and the Stay Skinny Method. But just quickly, basically, you have a great blender like a Ninja or a Vitamix. You put frozen ripe bananas in there. It whips to like an ice cream. Actually, you know what you can do it also into? You know how everybody has like a random Hamilton Beach like food processor in their kitchen from like their bridal shower or something sitting around? It makes it in there too. It takes longer. If you put it in the food processor, you have to scrape the sides down with a spatula every so often, but it'll make it in there in 2 or 3 minutes also. So if you don't have a blender, it will not work in a traditional blender. It has to be a high power blender like a Vitamix, a Blend Tech Ninja, the Good Ninjas. If you don't have one of those, it won't make ice cream. So don't break your blender on it. Use a food processor instead. But the banana ice cream is no joke. And let me tell you, it satisfies. You can add vanilla to it. You can add chocolate powder to it, make, chocolate flavor. You can add pure maple syrup to it to sweeten a little bit. It's surprisingly very satisfying. As vanilla ice cream was my very favorite food of all time before doing this. So I had to learn how to replace it. Let me see. Where did I leave off now? Ice cream suggestion. Do I eat meat? For 8 years, I was a total raw vegan. In recent years, I will occasionally, like if I'm out at a restaurant, like on a nice date or something, I will have a piece of grass-fed beef, or some grass-fed chicken, or grass-fed egg. I'm very picky about the quality of my meat. I'm not opposed to it. I don't not recommend it for clients at all. I'm all about it as long as you have good quality sources. So that's like one spot where I definitely recommend organic, grass-fed, grass-finished quality. Yeah, so definitely not anti-meat. What do I think of coconut yogurt? That depends on the brand and what's in it. Coconut yogurt in and of itself, like Cocoyo, great, clean. A lot of the coconut yogurts are full of junk. I think So Delicious is one of those brands that's full of junk. I don't want to say for sure, but I know I've read some of the labels from some of their flavors. You got to read what's in them. You don't want to have like gums, fillers, sugars, there's a lot of added stuff. The dairy replacements and like the plant-based replacements are oftentimes much less healthy than the real food. I'd rather see a little bit of the real food than a plant-based replacement if it's full of junk. So then there's cleaner brands. Like a clean plant milk would be like a Three Trees or like an Elmhurst, so they're not all plant-based companies are full of science, experiments, but a lot of them are. So you gotta really read your labels. Yep, you guys are all making the ice cream. That's the way to do it. Process in a food processor. Yep. I take weight class in the morning and I'm always being told to eat protein. Of course you are, because that's what the people say within the hour after workout suggestions. Well, I'll tell you, I'm a little split on this. I don't buy the high protein mentality. I believe you can get plenty of protein from like natural foods, like a banana and things after workouts. However, I'm in the middle of creating a protein-based program for our protein cleanse customers that really want one. So it kind of goes like our Stay Skinny Method program, but this is a protein method program. And this will be including a protein boost, a little 4 ounce of 10 grams of protein that you can have before or after your workouts. And it's for people that ask the exact same questions that you have. Now, while I love that it has a clean protein, it's also caloric because it's made from nuts and seeds. I don't use any protein powders or anything fake. So if your primary goal is weight loss, I'm actually testing it. I'm not sure if it's going to be beneficial or not. So I'm actually currently in the process of a whole test group before we launch this to test it. So I will let you know if it works for you for weight loss before you buy it. But as far as what you can do now, I actually don't think you need to replace the proteins, but you need to replace your electrolytes and get your healthy carbohydrates in after a workout, because those are really what cause or your fuel is carbohydrate based. Yes, protein helps with muscle repair, but unless you're like bodybuilding, like basic weightlifting and toning classes, that's what you're doing, like kind of like a power lift kind of a class, I don't foresee you needing gallons of protein after. I would say have a couple bananas or a smoothie, and that to me would be plenty. If you want a protein powder, if you want to make a smoothie, I would say Sun Warrior protein powder is the cleanest I found. They're pretty much raw and as clean as I've seen. So half a cup of cereal, 10 grams of protein. Another good thought if you want to do oatmeal. That's Naomi's making a suggestion, Stacy, that a half a cup of steel cut oatmeal has 10 grams of protein. So if you want to do like a cup of oatmeal after your workout and add some fruit and stuff to it, that's one option right there. And that would follow the light to heavy mentality. So that might be a thought. Didn't think of it, but thank you for the thought, Naomi. All right. If I missed a question, just type it in here again. I think I got them all. I'm going back. Okay. Oh, the protein powder is called Sun Warrior protein powder. They sell it like on Amazon. You can get it pretty much anywhere. You're welcome. I think I answered everything that was in my email that I was going to answer. I always make notes and I forgot what I say I was going to do. I've learned a lot with the Signature Reset program. I'll never go back. Oh, awesome. That's what I was hoping would happen with that program for people. I was hoping it would really make major lifestyle changes for them. Even if you don't take everything that I said. I tried to structure that program literally like it would be as if you sat across from me at a table, because typically a consult with a new client, I'd sit with them for 2.5 hours, get to know their whole life story, how they eat, their lifestyles like, and I tell them everything you need to learn. And I tried to encapsulate all of that into those 12 videos so that you guys could access the same kind of knowledge without having to sit down one-on-one with me. So I'm glad that's changing your life. Happy to hear it. I think I got everyone, but if you have any, like I said, I'm happy to stay a little longer if there's anything else that anyone wants to ask, whether on message or verbally. Also, if you guys have things that you're curious about that you'd like me to cover in future weeks, I have an idea already for next month. I'm thinking about doing, I have to get approval, as I'm thinking about doing like a bring a friend kind of a thing where you can bring someone who's not a Raw Generation customer that normally wouldn't have access to the video to get to know me. And like they can ask their questions too, and they can talk and get to know us. So that's what I was thinking about possibly doing. But if you have ideas of things that like really interest you, that you hear about, that confuse you, that warrant more than a single answer, maybe like, I thought about doing like a whole talk about GMOs. People don't know much about that, but there's a lot to say. I have some ideas, but if you have things you want to know, I would really love to cover what you guys want to know. more on bloating. Well, that's an easy topic for me to talk about all day. I could do that. Yes, if you have ideas, stick them in here now, or you can also always email me separately, but you're welcome. I love these calls. I wish I did them more often. They're my favorite part of the month. I love to connect with you guys. I don't do too much one-on-one. I do a little bit of one-on-one consulting now with nutritional clients, but this makes me feel like I'm doing that again. So it's nice. Is it okay to mix fruit with oatmeal? Yes, it is. Yep. You can mix fruit with oatmeal all day long. Yeah. Because there's no real fat source there. If you were putting almond butter in that oatmeal, no fruit. But just fruit and oatmeal is fine. Don't put milk in it either. Yep. I know it's the opposite of what you've probably been taught and what you've learned.
Lisa, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry about that. But if I'm making an oatmeal with fruit and almonds and almond milk, is that okay to mix together?
No almond milk. You can do the oatmeal and you can do the fruit. Don't use the almond milk because that's a source of fat. And you don't want to mix fruit and fat, right? It's also no longer a light food. If you add the fat to it, then it's not a light food, so you wouldn't want to have it early in the day. So just make it with water, and you can certainly add all the fruit you want. Or if you want to have it more as like if you want to have with the fat, have it at dinner time, but then don't put the fruit in it with the almond milk and like salt or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So almonds, when you think of nuts, that's considered a fat. You don't want to mix it with fruit.
Okay.
See what I mean? For the sake of weight loss and bloating. So I think you said bloating is something you want to know more about. So that's it's very common. We're so used to having like granola with raisins and almonds, or like yogurt with walnuts and fruit. Like it's very Mediterranean way of eating, and it's not really so much an unhealthy way of eating at all. It's actually very healthy, but for the sake of weight loss and for the sake of bloating, it will mess you up every time. So those combinations that you're so used to, it's hard to wrap your head around that. I know that it is. But that's the one key that when you start regularly doing that, you'll start noticing a major difference in your bloating.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd love to hear more about sleep and energy. Okay. If that can make sense. Yes. I work at least 12 hours a day. Oof, that's a lot of hours a day to work. Although I feel your pain lately. Yes. It's amazing. Sleep could be a whole seminar series in and of itself. And that's probably my biggest thing that I work on to improve in myself, because, the hours before midnight are your most restorative sleep. I rarely get them, and I know I need to get them, especially to preserve brain health. Definitely would like to talk about that some more. Lynn, you have a question? Go ahead.
I do, and I'm so sorry. I was late, but I was at work, and
I was late,
unexpected.
15 minutes late. Actually, that's why I'm staying late now. So
perfect. I was wondering, are you going to be emailing this out to us as well today? Because I missed everything but a few questions.
Yes, the whole recording will be emailed to you. Yep.
Wonderful. And I do have a question. I noticed the other day I was doing great on my journey here, and I thought it was interesting because I hadn't had chicken or any meat for probably 10, 11 days. And I ended up, when I ate the meat, and I had a wonderful baked potato and a salad, but minimal amount, I cannot believe I went back up like 0.7 ounces. Is that the effect that chicken and meat has?
How did you cook it?
In water.
Interesting.
And I cooked it in water. Now I will say this: I am one of your 65 and older people.
Okay.
So maybe that makes a difference.
It does. Unfortunately, it does make a difference. Because your hormones, your digestive system are just different as you age. Everyone's is, especially women, of course. So that is, everything else you had was normal, like the dressing you had, everything else you've been doing all along, nothing else changed but the chicken.
Oh my gosh, I think I lost a total of maybe 5 pounds, which I was good with the 5-day detox, because I read that I might not lose the 8 pounds that some people will, but I was happy with that, and I have, but I was really surprised that I went up like that. And then last night I did have a little bit of chicken, and I did cook it in mustard, but I looked, the ingredients are 100% pure. There's no sugar, yada,
Yep.
yada, yada.
And nothing else you had during the day was different either.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you might just be sensitive to it. Everyone's body's different. I'd be curious to know that if it would actually last till tomorrow, it might just have been like a water retention that happened or something. It might not be like
Okay.
actual pounds on you. Because I don't know that chicken would particularly put weight on you. That's not something I would have typically heard. Although like nothing surprises me anymore. I know people's bodies really react differently to things that I mean, my body does too, that you don't always expect. So it might be a situation where you know that if you have chicken, you're going to be a pound up the next day, but it'll go away. Some people just
Okay.
do things kind of strangely, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, of course. Let's see. These calls are fantastic. Thank you. Love the products and the information. Still hoping you do a skinny boost craving question. I just talked about that in my meeting this morning with the whole team, Jennifer. I said you're not the only person that has asked for that. Actually, you're not alone. So I asked if we could do possibly a mixed box or possibly even a box including all the new protein. So, oops, Shannon, could you come in there? I don't think she realizes. Let's see. So almond milk is not bad if used later in the day, correct? Almond milk is fine if number one, that it's clean, and that's more important than when it's used. Almond milk should just be almonds and water. If there's anything else in your almond milk, get a different one. And those brands would be Three Trees, Elmhurst, or Milk. Those are the only ones that I know of currently on the market that are just nuts and water. And yes, used later in the day, it should be fine. Beans and broccoli combination. Yes, that's fine to have together. And rice can mix with that as well too. Isn't chicken naturally high in sodium? There is some, that's why I said you might be retaining water. There is some natural sodium in chicken, but not like, not 0.7 ounces on a scale worth. But I mean, it could certainly have made you retain water. After a 10-day juice, once you start eating solid foods, is it common to gain weight back? Yes. Well, eating the right solid foods is recommended. I would be curious to know what those solid foods are, even though you're saying it's recommended, because sometimes people's understanding of recommendations is different than what is actually being recommended. I've learned that over the years. Like sometimes I'll say something to clients that I feel is very clear, and the next week when they come back and I look at their logs, I ask them why I did something. I say, well, you said this, and I was like, oh, you took that differently than I meant it. So I'm curious to know if what those correct solid foods actually are and how they're being prepared and how you're eating them. But yes, I mean, obviously, if you're doing a juice cleanse and just doing juices, you are going to gain some of the weight back. Hopefully, you wouldn't gain it all back. Usually, you'd be able to maintain that and maybe just gain a pound or two back and then go back to losing consistently if you have a good program like the Stay Skinny Method or something of your own doing that's similar in style that allows you to keep consistently kind of losing 1 or 2 pounds a week, because really you can lose 5 pounds a week all day long, but it's not going to stay off. That's not, a lot of that's water weight that comes off with the cleanse. Some of it's real weight, depending if you did a 10-day cleanse or a 5-day cleanse, you did a 10-day. So some actual weight came off there for sure. I was using the Stay Skinny Method. Okay. Well, again, it would depend if you want. My best recommendation would be to email me, Lisa Testa at rawgeneration.com. If you want to send me a few days of your food log, I love to look at those. That's my best way to help people. So if you are, tell me exactly when you have your drinks, what you eat, and what you put in them, how you prepare them, and I will take a look, and maybe something's going to glare out and stick out to me. Because I know, like when I did this with the test group, before we sold it to you guys, they were doing quite a few things wrong that I had to change the wording on our inserts so people would understand it better. So it could be something that you're just not quite the proper way. You're welcome. What are the healthy brands of almond milk? The healthy brands of nut milks that I know in general are, I'll put them in the thing here so you see the names. It's Elmhurst, Three Trees, and Milk. I've heard that milk is the most frothy if you want to put it in like a frother or like a cappuccino. I haven't done it, but that's what I've heard. All right. I think I now have not missed any questions. So last call for questions before I end the call. Anybody else? No, well, it's so good to see you all. I hope to see you all next month. It'll be the first Wednesday of the month. I can't, what's the date? Let me look real quick. I think it's the 6th, maybe. How is it already March is my question. It'll be April 3rd. That's our next one. Look at the email for it like you always do with the link. I don't currently have a topic in mind. So if you have any other ideas, I'll use some of the ones you gave me. If you have other ideas, feel free to email me and I will take them into consideration to plan. And I look forward to it. So have a good day, everybody. I'm going to sign off now and stop the recording. So take care.